Okay, hello. My name is Beverly Riley, and I was president of the Women's Symphony League in 1989 and 1990. And I had an amazing board that year. My friend Hellen Hutchison was my ball chairman, and then I had a wonderful board to back her up and to back me up. And whenever it was time for the ball to happen, December the 2nd, 1989, in November, we probably had a board meeting, and Helen was there, and she assumed her responsibilities for the board and to be ball chairman, and the theme of the ball was the Orient Express. I'm going to turn it over to Helen for a little bit and let her tell her part of it, because actually that's what I did for the whole ball. I asked Helen if she needed some help, and she said, no, I can take care of it. So I just stood back and watched.
Well, actually, the theme of the ball was Christmas night on the Orient Express.
Oh, okay.
Beverly. But what a fun year we had. As I look at the invitation and I reminisce a little bit about what a fun time we had and putting that ball together, and we had so much help with that ball. Beverly McManus, a good friend of ours who was also from Burke Burnett originally, worked with us, and she opened her home for us to have the dinners at her home.
3100 Hamilton.
I now live in Houston, Texas, but it's always fun to come back to Wichita Falls, see my friends, and see my hometown.
We had planned that. How in the world I arrived at the Orient Express, I have no idea, except that's always been a very glamorous thing in our life. You know, Agatha Christie wrote the book about Murder on the Orient Express. And so anyhow, we decided that we would do that, and Helen just took the reins, and she did a fantastic ball. There's an article in the scrapbook here from 1989 that I think the headline is that it would be a hard act to follow, and it was written up in the Times and Record News. And anyhow, Helen, tell them how you put together all the decorations and that sort of thing.
Well, it's been a long time ago, Beverly. But at that time, Tom Crane was very instrumental in helping us put all this together. I will tell you that. I took our idea to him, and he worked with me very closely and helped put the invitations together, and he lent us a great deal of support on that, Beverly. I have to give him a thank you again for that. I don't know if you remember the prelude to the ball. We had a lot of good publicity from what was then the City magazine. Very helpful in helping us publish it. A lot of people in Wichita Falls were very instrumental in helping make that the big success it was.
Oh, for sure. This is the front of the invitation. It folds out, had the tickets in it for the prizes. Anyhow, that's it. Mm-hmm. Isn't that wonderful? And the blue and the gold is the color of the railroad cars on the Orient Express at that time.
Right. And we had a big door built and had it painted the blue, trimmed in the gold, and we had it at the footsteps of the country club. And when people came to the club, they had to go through the blue door to get up to come into the ball.
Well, we have a boarding pass here, and that entitled the bearer of the boarding pass to catch the Thames trolley at the entrance of the country club. They parked all their cars at the country club, and then they got on the Victoria station. They got on the Bon Voyage to go to the supper at the Victoria station in London, which was 3100 Hamilton, and that was where Beverly's home was. Anyhow, I don't think Helen missed a trick on this. It was very glamorous and exciting, and we had 450 people to feed that evening in Mrs. Preston's home. And it was...
It happened.
It happened, yes. And anyhow, we were all extremely worn out the next day from all that. But anyhow, it happened. We fed them, and then they went to the country club, and we had a wonderful dance out there with the ballroom totally full. And then what other room did we put them in, Helen?
Oh, I can't remember. We had, as I recall, we had almost a whole ball for that. I think they had to open something up on the back patio for the regulars that came for whatever they came for, because we had confiscated the whole country club.
It was all full
For our use.
and we were overwhelmed. We were delighted with it, and anyhow, it was a unique experience for me,
A huge
especially.
success.
And I called Helen in my February-March orchestration paper that we send out. I called her the epitome of organization, which she was, and she and her committees put together a party that was without equal. And the local newspaper, as I have said before, said it was a hard act to follow. And so anyhow, we had a wonderful time doing it. I said I wouldn't try to do it again because I don't think we could do the same thing. But it was our delight and our privilege to be able to do it.
A lot of fun.
Yes, a whole lot of fun. The whole purpose of the ball is to raise money for the symphony orchestra. And to my knowledge, I think the ball is one of the biggest contributors for the Women's Symphony League to the symphony. And we raised $22,000 plus. I thought it was $25,000, but then someone here today said it was $22,000 plus. So anyhow, at that time, that was the biggest contribution to the symphony by the league. And it was just our privilege to be able to do it, you know. And then after that was so much fun. It was really neat. And yes, it's very important to have a symphony orchestra. And in the school, I know they have orchestras for the children, and that gives them motivation maybe to continue with their study and to maybe play in the orchestra as a local musician. And so it's extremely important. And so that's why I've always been involved that way.